this coming. Dustin Poirier's final fight will be versus Max Holloway at UFC 318 in New Orleans. They announced this before they even announced UFC 317, so you know that 317 is about to be a crazy bomb announcement by the UFC in the next week or so. Because a lot of lightweight drama is going on right now, of course, but I think we're extremely close to Ilya versus Islam. Reports are going out now that Islam's in camp too, so 2 and 2 together. Ilya's in camp, Islam's in camp, boom, right? But in the meantime, yeah, Dustin Poirier gets his last dance, and of course it's against Max Holloway, who is a legend. He was looking for a Legends fight, and Dustin Poirier is going to be fighting Max in New Orleans, his hometown, for a pay-per-view. Not really sure. I would assume this is the main event. And it's for the BMF belt. You know, the BMF, should they keep it? Should they not? If it goes with Dustin, do they just retire it for good? Or will they let someone else, other two guys fight for it? Will they keep it going? That's really a conversation that I don't care so much about in terms of the greatness of the BMF belt. But these are two legends giving the fans an entertaining fight. And this is mostly a fight for the fans to deliver one of the most entertaining fights possible. But is it really like necessarily the fight I would have most liked to see for Dustin? Not necessarily, because I don't know. Is this like a lose-lose? Like, nobody wants to see either of these guys get knocked out. These are two of the most universally beloved fighters. You don't want Dustin Poirier to get knocked out in his last fight of the UFC, but you don't want to see Max Holloway lose either. Like, everyone loves both these guys, and of course they're going to give us hopefully a war where they're slugging in the pocket and brawling, and maybe Max Holloway puts the fingers down and points to the mat, and Dustin's like, yeah, I'm fully sending this in my final fight. But Dustin Poirier also, something came out that he was on Pat McAfee's show, and he was talking about how he maybe wanted Justin Gaethje for the trilogy because they were 1-1, or they wanted he wanted Ilya Topuria. I was about to say Conor McGregor. What? But he's fighting. He wanted to fight Ilya Topuria, but the UFC shut that down real quick with Topuria. And Topuria's probably fighting Islam next. And Dustin Poirier is getting the Holloway fight, which, again, this is a trilogy, and Poirier beat Holloway both times. It's not like it's 1-1. So these guys are in completely different aspects of their career now. They're both on the other side of their career. And what also makes this special is that Poirier was Holloway's first opponent in the UFC. When Holloway made his UFC debut all those years ago, Poirier was the first guy to meet him in the octagon. And now Holloway is meeting Poirier in the octagon for his last fight, which is pretty cool, pretty, I guess, special. I guess that's why the UFC really pushed for this fight. There's definitely the legacy here to define for both these men. Dustin Poirier never got to undisputed, but he was once an interim lightweight champion, and for Holloway, he held on to the featherweight belt for some time. And Holloway, he's coming off the loss to Ilya Topuria, and before that, his insane, iconic KO versus Justin Gaethje. So Holloway still has he still is making a run now in the lightweight division. He's moved up to the lightweight division for good, and he's hoping to extend his career and make a deep run in the lightweight division to get that title. And Poirier's in the way of that. So I'm really curious to see like who people are going to be picking for this fight. Like, who are people going to want to see win in this fight over Poirier or Holloway? And Dustin Poirier, it's the final fight, the last dance. Such a special fighter, has stood in there with literally all of the biggest like legends in this division's history. He's been there from the time that the lightweight division peaked, and I'm going to miss Dustin Poirier, man, when he finally is out of the UFC and he's no longer part of this roster. Because Poirier, every single fight that Dustin Poirier puts on is a must-watch fight. It's a must-watch fight for Dustin. And also for Holloway, these are two of some of the most electric, exciting, and beloved fighters in the UFC. And it's kind of mixed feelings on who you would want to win in such a fight. But nonetheless, it's going to be a fight for the fans, a legends fight. literally that's what this is, a Legends fight to see, and with the BMF belt on the line, So that's pretty cool. And I probably would have liked to also see Gaethje versus Dustin. That would have been pretty cool also. Any one of these crazy, insane, slugging boxing matchups. But you're still getting that with this fight. It's going to be hopefully a certified violent classic. And yeah, shout out to the 11 subscribers rocking with me that have chosen to lock in with me and are enjoying my content. I really appreciate all of you. And if you could just leave a like, the likes really help a lot. And still waiting on this UFC 317 news on this Friday afternoon. So hopefully we get that soon, because they announced this before they announced 317. But it's about to be crazy. It's about to be crazy with the UFC lightweight division. Now that I'm thinking they're doing Ilya versus Islam, again, they could pump fake us and really do an Islam Gaethje and Poirier versus Charles, because if you think that Charles is returning to fight as well, because he posted that, and Poirier is returning, people are to say, oh, maybe imagine the UFC pump fakes us and it's actually Oliveira versus Ilya, and like you have Islam versus Justin, but nah, it's gonna be Ilya versus Islam. And if Charles is really actually training for a fight, imagine they do him versus Arman Tsarukyan for a co-main event, because Dricus is not injured, and Dricus is going to fight Hazmat in a later date. So I think that since that's not going to be on the card, you do an Oliveira versus Arman Tsarukyan as a co-main event for 317. That would be stacked. But yeah, the cards are starting to get a little bit bigger around the summer. If a 317 is what we think it is and 318 is this, then, and hopefully Hazmat versus Dricus is like 319 or something. So yeah, I appreciate you all. And yeah, I'll be doing a recap on the Prates fight.